Professor Buckles has long tried to impress upon yours truly the importance of crafting an attention-grabbing headline. In my darker imaginings, I fear I will not become a hardened researcher, rise to the occasion, and make the leap from an average occultist to an exceptional headline writer. Due to my decades-long familiarity with the musical group New Order, I know that their song titles do not describe the song or quote the lyrics. This rock and roll insight, along with my study of esoteric writing, has convinced me that song titles generally, and book titles specifically, are unimportant to a select but influential minority of readers. Through my frequent lounging in a certain food establishment, I've become acquainted with a certain youth who I will refer to as RJ. RJ is likable enough, and one of the few individuals that I've met who knew the time of his birth. Creation and analysis of his natal chart quickly followed. But perhaps his most intriguing aspect is that he's a Capricorn rising with his sun in Virgo, whereas yours truly is a Virgo Libra rising with the sun sign of Capricorn. Therefore, it is hoped that RJ will provide some insight into the manifestations of certain astrological influences. It is not uncommon for a certain great occultist to become, for lack of a better word, visibly excited and animated when discussing certain passionate topics, notably astrology. I have no doubt that phrases such as Capricorn this and Capricorn that were sprinkled throughout Sunday's afternoon's conversation. Although I have been told by lesser minds that I possess many faults or shortcomings, clear enunciation is not a defect that has been brought to my attention. In fact, I know I tend to over-enunciate compared to my peers. This tendency is to overemphasize certain vowels and specific consonants. It's typical of a certain notorious minority of our society. As I recall events, RJ approached my table and stated that a customer, several tables away, complained about my discussing porn. However, to fully set the stage for the general reader's amusement, or indignation, it will be necessary to discuss mundane characteristics of yours truly. In addition to clear enunciation, there is no doubt that I tend to talk with my hands. Inviting the listener or repelling him is required. This type of communication is either the result of my intention to manipulate the listener or the accident of being raised in a town heavily populated by descendants of Italian extraction. My manners and posturing are the result of several possible factors: astrology, genetics, environment, and indifference. Due to my life experiences, I suggest that I'm mostly indifferent as to how or why people form their subjective and often misinformed opinions. This indifference to opinions may explain why my hair length is typical of the philosophical Greeks and not typical of the warlike Romans. In anticipation of the summer months, I have been gradually lightening my hair. If I have a tendency to use the full range of my vocabulary, I am neither embarrassed nor do I feel apologetic. If one is truly fortunate, there will be many moments where one will passionately say, "Screw it," and seize the occasion. In conclusion to this part, I am aware that my writing style is not for everyone's joy, and my speaking is not for everyone's delight. Finally, due to the influence of Capricorn, people sin and erroneously conclude that my age ranges from the late 20s to the early 30s. With the mundane facts presented, we will proceed to the more enjoyable section of this pleasurable essay, speculation. Imagine, yours truly, ensconced behind a laptop, engaged in important occult research, and occasionally engaging a male teenager about astrology. Capricorns and the bane of superior intellect, small talk. A distant listener, due to poor eavesdropping skills, a demented mind, or both, strains to hear yours truly discussing porn with a fair youth. Recalling RJ as a Capricorn rising, thereby looking younger than his 17 years would otherwise suggest. From my study of the Criminal Minds documentaries, I know that this type of relationship is sometimes mentioned as jailbait, for reasons that elude this researcher. As a sidebar, I am familiar with porn, which on the whole I find almost inscrutable. I am more comfortable discussing pornography, since it, at least, is understandable. Clearly, this spying modern 20-something woman has reached several errant opinions regarding the willfully misunderstood ejaculations from yours truly. Gentle reader, please search my site for Capricorn and Scapegoat for a fuller discussion of why I am misunderstood. The above was the planned conclusion of the essay until I returned to the restaurant today. As a form of questionable feedback, customers are encouraged to contact the store via the internet. I write questionable worth because, unlike subjective sales or cash flow reports, There is no consistent manner to value subjective and unverifiable comments. In the spirit of openness, the report was brought to my table, and I read that the woman described me as watching porn on my laptop. This thing was not done in a corner, and I would like to believe that I would be more careful or more cautious in my dealings with the presentation of the supposed subject matter, as if a Capricorn occultist is not the pinnacle of caution. This woman must be unaware that the Wi-Fi will block connection to sports websites, so the viewing of specialized and objectionable material, such as the scores of collegiate games, is impossible. Of course, it could be speculated by the disturbed mind of said woman that pornography was previously downloaded, and I was discussing certain titillating aspects of a provocative scene and thus enticing a minor to view it. Full disclosure, at one point I turned the laptop towards RJ and away from the woman so he could see one of my recent posts on social media. I humbly suggest that this woman must have missed the discussion of the risk-reward trade-off as presented in high school economics, contributing to the delinquency of a minor, possible jail fines, and a lifetime registration for being a sex offender, all for a brief moment of tantalization and arousal. Finally, yours truly was described as creepy in the report, and on the positive side, I suppose this is an improvement from typical adjectives. We leave the general reader with the select lyrics from a work by Radiohead. I want to have control. I want a perfect body. I want a perfect soul. You're so fucking special. I wish I was special. But I'm a creep. I'm a weirdo. What the hell am I doing here? I don't belong here.